I want to thank you for joining us in today's session. My name is Jared Gansey, and we also have along with us Felicia Campbell. We are both marketing managers with the COSTARS program. Later in the presentation, we will be joined by our guest speaker, Jenna Gold. She is with Procurated, so she's going to go over exactly what that is. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So sales is much like fishing. It takes patience, skill, and some effort to catch the big fish. As much as we wish they would, they don't just jump right into the boat. You need to entice the fish to come to you so that you can reel them in. So we're here today to give you some marketing tools to use to engage with COSTARS members. This will help you build your COSTARS sales. So COSTARS authorized suppliers are eligible to sell to our over 9,000 members. We know that as sales professionals, you are always exploring ways to increase your sales opportunities. But did you know that it costs approximately 6 times more to attract new customers than it does to strengthen relationships with existing customers? COSTARS authorized suppliers already have one foot in the door. So today's webinar was created to help you leverage COSTARS participation in sales. So in today's session, we're going to discuss the member mindset, what is important to them, how do they think, and the challenges they face, how to engage with these members to generate more potential business with them, and become top of the mind when they are in need of your products or services, the supplier responsibilities, the benefits and the training opportunities we have available. And we'll also go over some COSTARS statistics to give you an insight of the overall user spend, which will be useful as you create your member engagement strategy. This conversation will also provide you with a context on how your sales reporting helps in the evolution of the program. So before you can create a successful marketing campaign, you need to have some understanding of your potential customer and what is important to them. So let's explore the minds of the COSTARS members. So they are all budget minded and loyal when the price is right. They share experiences with each other when visiting events through Procurated, which you'll hear from Jenna Gold later about what that is. They often have small staffs, so they look for efficient and cost-effective procurement options. So you would want to do your legwork to take the load off of them. And use COSTARS training to help solidify a relationship. As staffs change, many of our members weren't given all the information by their predecessors on the use of COSTARS. So the more you know about the COSTARS processes of searching contracts within the COSTARS process, the more valuable you become to the member, both as a resource and as a supplier. So in all aspects of business, there is a direct correlation between active marketing, brand awareness, and sales growth. So businesses don't spend millions of dollars on the Super Bowl ads because they want to trend on social media. While that is a perk, they do it for 2 reasons. One, that's where the potential customer can be reached, and they understand that the marketing investment could play out in a multitude of sales. So I wanted to guide you through some of the engagement strategies you can implement to help capture more COSTARS business. So before I get into the meat of the marketing, it's important to remember that COSTARS members are not required to purchase from any one awarded supplier. In fact, we encourage all of our members to get competitive quotes to find the best value. Also, DGS does not guarantee any volume of COSTARS contract sales. So just because you're a COSTARS authorized supplier doesn't mean that the sales will just automatically come to you. That's why you have to market. And the last thing is it's the sole responsibility of the supplier to promote their products to their members. We can show you effective ways to market to our members like what we're doing here today, but we cannot market your specific products or services. We have found that the most successful COSTARS authorized suppliers are the ones that are actively engaged with our members. So we came up with this thing called STEP, and it's important to remember the steps to marketing. So the S stands for, search the member contracts or contacts, search member contacts. And T is target your audience. E is establish your message and your hook. And P is to publicize. So now we're going to walk you through how to search for the member contact information first, and then we'll get into all the other steps as well. So remember, your starting point is always going to be www.dgs.pa.gov/COSTARS. And we'll click on the supplier information tile, which would be the third tile down on the right, the blue one. And then click on the supplier portal to go ahead and go to the next page. Once logged into your account, you will be on this page, and then you want to select the bidder tab on the top left. And then on the left-hand navigational panel, select the enterprise applications. So like I said, that was kind of a lot. And if you don't remember how to do this exactly, we will be providing this recording for you guys so you can go back and just see exactly how I got to here. So don't worry if you can't remember right away. And then you're going to want to select the COSTARS link, which is the first one on the top left. And once you do that, on the left-hand navigational panel, select the COSTARS member link, which is the last link, the last tab on the bottom. If you want to find someone specific, you can type in any search criteria you want and then click search right here. So you can search by the organizational name, the member ID, the category, and by what state or county they're in, as well as if you have a specific contact person you want to find the contact info for, or if you don't have someone in mind and you want to just do the entire list, you can simply select search. This will bring up a list of contact information which you can download into an Excel spreadsheet. And with this spreadsheet, you can manipulate the data to begin to target specific members. Let's just say, for example, you're selling LED traffic signal modules. You may not want to target to educational entities to receive your message because your product will not be applicable to them. We receive questions on this from time to time, so I wanted to take a minute to note that our members are responsible for their member profiles, just like our suppliers are. So you may receive several non-deliverable emails if you send out an email blast to the contacts on this list. Remember, there are often multiple users listed under the organization, and our members don't always delete outdated information. The COSTARS team is actively focusing on the importance of keeping up to date the member profile and keeping it current. Every presentation, phone call, newsletter, communication we send out, we're reminding the members that they need to regularly update their member profiles because it's very important. So in our steps to marketing, we now accomplish searching for our member contact list. Like I said, if you don't remember how to do it, this will be available for you guys. And we also went over how to target a specific audience. So now that you know who the members are and who you wish to target, what message are you trying to convey? So E in the step process is establish your message and your hook. So make sure your brand is the focal point of your message. You want to make sure the member remembers your brand logo along with your message as they search and gather quotes. It is important to co-brand your message with the COSTARS logo. we do allow you to do that. We have the resource on our website where you can use our logo on your website to entice members. Our members that follow the PA procurement code and the threshold requirements invest approximately $3,600 in the public bidding process. By purchasing through the COSTARS authorized supplier contracts, they are not required to follow the public bidding process, which reduces members' time and money investments. So our members are actively looking for the COSTARS logo when they are sourcing supplies and services. So make sure that you have it somewhere on your website. We'll get into that a little bit later. Also, your why should be clear. So it should be concise and compelling. What sets you apart from your competitors? Drive your value proposition home. If you sell Ford vehicles, you know, our members have a variety of vendors to source Ford vehicles. What makes your loyal customers return to you anytime they are ready to purchase again? Do you have 5-star service? Do you offer discounts? These are things that you're going to want to drive home with them. You know, and paint them a picture of what it would mean for them to use you as their supplier for the Ford truck. So because the price or overall value is important to our members with such limited budgets, you should include a hook to get their attention, a call to action, let's say. Some ideas include deals offered for a limited time, like an additional percentage off or a value added item in the time of purchase. That will help grab any potential customers that might come your way. So now that we have all the pieces of our marketing campaign ready, we can focus on how we publicize our message. So at the time of submitting a bid, many of our authorized suppliers include a dedicated website for our members to visit. We're going to look now at an example of one of our suppliers that has incorporated a COSTARS dedicated website. If you give me 1 second, I will transfer on over to there. So this right here is JTech, one of our suppliers, and this is their dedicated COSTARS page. As you can see here, it has a general description of what COSTARS is and how members can benefit from it. The benefits here on the side, they have the COSTARS logo here, which we do recommend, like I said, you put on all of your marketing. And it also shows what exact contracts they are selling off of. So they are on COSTARS 25, which is municipal work vehicles, and they even have the contract number here, which is very nice. And it goes over a general description of what they're selling on COSTARS 25, as well as some of the products they're selling, some of the trucks. And you can click on these links and go to it. They make it really simple, really easy. I really like this example because they made it look really sleek and it's just very professional. They have a contact person, so you can contact JTech about a potential truck, but they also sell stuff on COSTARS 24. Like I said, this is just an example. It also has the contract number here. So this is a great company to model your designated COSTARS page after, because we think that they did a phenomenal job.
So Jared, can you go back to the slide where you clicked in to see that web page?
Yes. Hold on 1 second.
So the only thing that I noticed, they did a phenomenal job on creating this landing page for COSTARS, but the only thing that they didn't do that I would have done is the web URL that they shared with us is their general website. We actually stumbled on that landing page for COSTARS specifically. So that would be the thing that I would recommend, is that you give us the website for that landing page that you create for COSTARS.
Yes, that's a great point, because this is where, the COSTARS members are going to search for contracts in this member portal area. So this is the link that they're going to click on. So if you bring it to that dedicated COSTARS page, they will learn all about your, as a supplier, your relationship with COSTARS, how you use it, and what products are specifically on it. So that's something that we encourage all of our suppliers to do is to put the URL for the dedicated page. Moving on. So it is also very important that your brand and your message is available to the COSTARS members. Think about where they get their information and make sure that your information is there too. You may want to explore marketing options such as ads on general association websites like authorities. Maybe you want to become a sponsor of an industry event like PASBO or PSATs, or one of the big events they hold every year at the Hershey Lodge. Maybe you want to do ads and industrial publication. You can also research industry publications, event guides, and municipal print or web vehicles to purchase advertising space to promote your offerings and COSTARS participation to key demographics you want to build business with. And you can also do such things like press releases. So you are likely to already be promoting new product launches and other noteworthy business updates in press releases. But you may also want to mention the fact that you are a COSTARS authorized supplier and mention the contract number or contract numbers where your offerings can be found. So basically just making the fact that you are a COSTARS member more visible, or sorry, make sure that you are showing that you are a COSTARS authorized supplier in everything that you're doing, because I go to events and I have tables and members will come up to me and they'll say, we do all of our purchases off of COSTARS. If they're not a COSTARS authorized supplier, we don't even look at their products. And you won't believe how many people come up to me and say that. So it is very important that you make it visible that you are a COSTARS authorized supplier. Members do really, really, really love that. So you can also do brochures or flyers. 1 or 2-sided mailers and business cards are great ways to continuously get your word out. Here are some examples of supplier brochures that we thought were good. Another supplier used a 2-sided postcard method to announce their participation in the program. We thought that was really cool too. And like I said, don't forget to co-brand on your business cards as well. And put the COSTARS logo. Basically put your COSTARS logo anywhere you can. I know we keep saying it, but it's very important. Members love purchasing off of COSTARS authorized suppliers. So.
And Jared, I was taking attendance a little earlier. Did we talk about why the members like to use COSTARS so much with the Chapter 19 of the PA Procurement Code?
Yes, I went over that briefly.
I wanted to make sure that the suppliers with us today understood the context of why they want to use COSTARS and what that really means to them.
Right. Well, I can go over it again. Most of our members have to abide by the PA Procurement Code, which basically states that at certain thresholds, when you're procuring, you have to do certain things. And we estimate at COSTARS that when they're purchasing just regularly using public funds, it's $3,600 in certain things they have to do. So using the COSTARS program, they don't have to go through the formal bidding process, which will significantly reduce the time and cost associated with procuring goods and services. So they look to use COSTARS authorized suppliers so they don't have to spend that money on advertising costs, the formal bidding process, and they can use it towards the hard cost of the project. So that's in a nutshell why our members use the program and why it's so beneficial for our suppliers to be on the program, because our members are municipalities, townships, school districts, authorities, basically any entity that uses public funds for procurement and are tax exempt. So just kind of gives you a brief overview. I know I went over a little bit earlier, but just to kind of reiterate why this program is so good, why it saves so much money for our members, and why our suppliers get so much benefit off of using it. So also you want to invite your current and potential COSTARS member customers to webinars and lunch and learns to share new products and information and best practices of doing business with you. And just like we're doing today, one of the most beneficial marketing opportunities is being able to be face-to-face with your clients, whether that's in person or virtually. So the COSTARS team is happy to provide information for your customers about the program. Be sure to keep in mind the eligibility requirements of becoming a COSTARS member when planning for the COSTARS messaging. We can provide literature and even present via a webinar or like a telepresence thing. If you prefer a live COSTARS presentation, contact us and we can discuss availability of a representative, either being me or Felicia or both of us, to kind of give a program overview. So now I will hand it over to Felicia and she will go over the rest of the COSTARS part of the presentation. So Felicia, it's all yours.
Thank you, Jared, and I'm sorry for intervening. I didn't hear you say that earlier, and I wasn't sure if we did, and I thought it might be a good thing to go over.
You're fine.
So you might be aware of the resources that are available to COSTARS authorized suppliers. However, we did think a review of the resources and a tour of where you can locate them would be really helpful to ensure that you have all the tools that you need to be a successful COSTARS supplier. So we'll talk about these supplier quick links that we have in other topics in depth. So what you see on your slide right now is the quick links that you'll find, but we'll look at those in depth right now. So in order to do anything that you want for locating supplier resources, again, your starting point with COSTARS is always www.dgs.pa.gov/COSTARS, and all of the supplier resources can be found under that COSTARS supplier information tile to the right. Once you're in supplier information, this is going to be your main page of our website. At the very bottom, you'll see those quick links that you saw on that last slide. They're designed to flow suppliers through the program depending on what they want to do and where in the participation process they are. So if they haven't become a COSTARS supplier yet, they would start with become a COSTARS supplier. And then the other tools are for different pieces of where they are in the process. So that first link, becoming the COSTARS supplier, my assumption is we're all already on contract, but perhaps not. So if you're not, go there first, but we're going to actually kind of focus on the others. The quick link for the supplier portal is where you can go, but as you can see at the top of the page on the right, the very first link is also a link to the supplier portal. So you don't have to scroll all the way down the page if you just want to go quickly to the portal. And this is where you're going to upload your quarterly sales reports, pay your annual COSTARS administrative fees, and also where Jared showed you how to download the member contact list. I do recommend that if you are already on contract with us, that you go into your profile for both the PA supplier portal and the COSTARS supplier gateway to make sure that your information in those two profiles are up to date. These are very important to us and to you so that you're not having any sort of a lag in your COSTARS participation because you may have missed information from us. Then the last two links, the COSTARS supplier responsibilities and the COSTARS supplier toolbox, those are the two we're really going to focus on. But before I leave this slide, I do want to point out that we've also created duplicate tabs of these quick links along the right-hand side's navigation panel. And this, just like I had said about the supplier portal login at the top, this is for those suppliers who know exactly what they want to do and where to go. They don't have to scroll down through all of the information that's more for potential new suppliers within the program. So let's look at that COSTARS supplier responsibility page. On this page, your responsibilities as COSTARS suppliers are listed out, and on the right-hand top corner of each of the gray sections to the left, you'll find an expansion arrow. And once you click that expansion arrow, it will actually show you exactly what is going on with that individual responsibility. And you'll also notice that all of the links that you need within that one responsibility are there to help you. So the very last link in this example that you'll see is taking you to our training of how to report sales. So if you, especially if you're handing off that duty to another sales rep or support staff, that will be a really great resource for them to visit just to help them through the reporting process. So next I want to take you to the supplier toolbox. So that was the last quick link at the bottom of the supplier information page. But again, you can see at the bottom of this page, we also have that as a quick link to take you right to there if you happen to be on the supplier responsibility page at the time you want to go there. So this will be your go-to area once you're already awarded a contract with DGS. Everything you need as a supplier is in this toolbox. So you'll find access to online trainings, access to the member contact list that Jared showed you. We have marketing tools there, sales reporting, the guide to COSTARS contracts, which lists out all of the COSTARS exclusive contracts and also statewide contracts that are available for members to use. So think about using that guide in your marketing strategy. There may be complementary services to the products you offer, or if you're a service provider, you can also kind of work with those suppliers who offer the materials needed and maybe go in together on a project and bid on a project to be that complete solution if you can't provide that full solution on your own. You can get to additional electronic bidding opportunities, the supplier guide, FAQs, the event calendar, our newsletters, and also a list of related organizations. And I want to talk a little bit more about that list of related organizations. If you go into the supplier toolbox, that very last link at the bottom, COSTARS event calendar and newsletter, once you click into that, at the very bottom of the page, there is a link to the list of related organizations. That will take you into this area. Because we talked about the methods of publicizing your message early, I do want to dive into this a little bit. This is a great way to locate advertising, exhibiting, and sponsorship opportunities. And you can also explore potential grant funding that's available to members using these sites, which will help you tie in your product offering message in your marketing to our members. So I do highly recommend exploring this list as you're creating your marketing strategy. It may give you some additional message content that helps grab the attention of the members. I do want to point out our training area that'll be helpful for the long-time program participating suppliers, and especially, again, if you're training new staff on using or administering COSTARS within your participation. So you would go into the supplier toolbox and select supplier online trainings, and that will take you to the supplier section of the training center. The very first section where you see that large section of links, those are our step-by-step instructions on individual supplier processes. So if you get stuck doing one process, let's say quarterly sales reporting, this section will provide help for you. And in a moment, I'm going to show you a tip when using those. But before we leave this slide, I do want to point out the last link. That will take you to our recorded webinars from the past. So the very first one gives a great overview from the supplier's perspective of the program, and then also shows a detailed demo of how to electronically bid on a COSTARS exclusive contract. So if there is another contract you're interested in bidding on and you haven't used our new e-bidding system, that will be a great resource for you. The second recorded webinar there is a very similar webinar to what you're sitting in on today. So again, that's where we're going to be posting. Today's session will probably replace that older version of it. So now let's go into one of those step-by-step training modules. The one thing I wanted to show you is a little tip here. When you open up one of those, it opens up to a view of the training called Q Card, and I do not care for this version. I think it's really difficult to visualize, and I just had a meeting the other day with several people who also use these trainings, and they too said that they don't like the Q Card. So if you go up to the very top right-hand corner, there's a section that lets you expand down. I recommend using the simulation, and once you're in the simulation, there are two choices. Pick the first one. I think that's the quickest training of the two versions, and it's also much like having somebody sitting right at your desk walking you through each step. So that's just a little tip for you. If you open up the Q Card and you're not sure what's going on, use simulation. So next I want to look at sales reporting. That is a condition of a supplier's COSTARS participation, but I also want to kind of connect the dots for you to let you understand the context of why this sales reporting is very important and how it really lends a hand into the evolution of the program. This reporting gives us insight into program updates and contract modifications that we might need to make to ensure that the program is providing the best value to our members and then also to our participating suppliers as well. If our members have what they need, then our suppliers are going to be much better off. So to report your sales, you would visit www.dgs.pa.gov/COSTARS and you select the supplier information button. And this should look really familiar because you've seen this with Jared. You'll enter the supplier portal. You'll enter your credentials to get into the PA supplier portal. Once you're in, you'll select the bidder tab and enterprise applications, just like you did with Jared. Again, you'll select the COSTARS application. And then you are on the COSTARS supplier gateway and you'll see your dashboard there. On the left-hand side, you'll see a sales reporting link. You'll click on that. And that will take you into an area where you can, if you have more than one contract, you'll select the contract that applies to what you're reporting on. You can either hand input each individual sale, or if you have a lot of sales to enter for that month, there is a template available that you can load your data into the template and then just upload a bulk upload of your data. So I want to show you when we're looking at your sales data, what we're looking at and how we analyze. But before we do that, I do want to focus on that second column from the right called number of sales. In your sales journal, it's really important to understand that this figure is not units sold. So when you're providing your sales data each quarter, make sure that these sales transactions represent the number of purchase orders filled. So for example, if you have a sale to a member for $21,383, and that's for 26 units, you would report that as one transaction. If that member needed an additional 50 units later in the same quarter and didn't include them in the first order, you would consider that another or separate transaction because each of those were placed on different purchase orders. When you're reporting them, you'd list them as two individual records on your sales report, and each record would be listed as one transaction. And what we're doing is, remember when Jared was talking about the $3,600 investment on the public bidding process. This information, that number of sales transactions, helps us determine how much our COSTARS members saved by not having to go through that formal bidding process. The number of transactions should equal how many times those customers would have had to go out for a formal bid had they not used COSTARS. And then we can get information about how many times did they save that $3,600 investment. The data that you provide on your sales to COSTARS members is very valuable to us. We can see how the program is performing by utilizing this data. As we analyze your individual reports from the suppliers, we see that the following information. We can see overall COSTARS member spend. We can also see sales and supplier participation comparison between COSTARS exclusive contracts and statewide COSTARS participating contracts. We can also look at the spend on both types of contracts by member category, by legislative districts, and by county. We also can see contract sales increases or decreases, which make us look at future contract decisions. We can also see sales broken down by small and small diverse business classification, and then also look at sales a little bit more dialed into product and service categories as well. To give you an idea of what we look at when we analyze our per contract data, so one of the things you'll see here on this slide, this is looking at COSTARS exclusive contracts and the growth in spend between fiscal year 19 and fiscal year 20. One of the things I noticed when I looked at this for the first time is the incredible increase in sales in our food category. This would make our team investigate fiscal year 2018 and 17 to see if there's a typical fluctuation in this contract, and we've noticed that there isn't. So we'd keep our eye on this in the future just to see what this data is really telling us. We'd also look into categories within the contract to see that if there's a common category that's affecting this data. And then also we'd explore reasonings as to why fiscal 2020 performed differently than in the past. My gut feeling on this is this might be COVID related because our member entities are citizen related organizations. This might be caused by humanitarian efforts performed by our members in food drives during the pandemic. So of course, this is just supposition, so we would want to continue to watch this contract in the future. As I said earlier, we do look at how each member category spend looks compared to the overall member spend and compare this information between both COSTARS exclusive and statewide contracts. So when we're looking at this data, I want to share an example with you. We can see from this that authorities purchased in fiscal year 2020 more from the COSTARS exclusive contracts than the statewide contracts. In this case, we would investigate what were they purchasing, and in our analysis, we might find that COSTARS exclusive contracts offer more of the products and services needed by this member category than the statewide contracts. If we were to find that they do have options on the statewide side and they're not using it as heavily, being marketing managers with COSTARS, Jared and I might then recommend creating a marketing campaign to help promote those available statewide contracts that they should explore. And while we're discussing comparisons to COSTARS exclusive and statewide contracts available to members, I do have a note for you. In many cases, there are parallel contracts between the two types of contracts. If you're a supplier with products and services that fall under a parallel COSTARS exclusive and statewide contract, you might want to consider holding both contracts to increase your visibility with our members. Depending on member preferences, some of our members might choose to search COSTARS exclusive contracts more exclusively in their process. Others might decide that statewide contracts are their go-to contracts. And then another group may actually utilize both types of contracts in their search to make sure they're gaining as much choice in suppliers and pricing that's available to them. Seeing a supplier on parallel contracts increases a member's awareness of that supplier as a potential quoting opportunity. Also, by participating in both types of contracts, you increase your potential customer base. So if you're not aware of the two different types of contracts, in short, customer exclusive or COSTARS exclusive contracts are only for the use of COSTARS members, and the statewide COSTARS participating contracts are available for use by the agencies and the COSTARS members. So just keep that in mind. If there are other contracts that are available or that are open for you to bid on, that may be a good sales strategy to hold both contracts, even though they are a crossover in offering. This slide gives us an all-up view of sales across both types of contracts, but we're looking at them this time by member category. And we can compare this to previous years to see if there's growth per member category or has their spend decreased. By knowing this information, we can determine where our marketing efforts might need to focus communications, or if the procurement team needs to look at or revise contracts to help if our members' needs are changing. So you can see that the COSTARS sales data is key to our decision-making processes as the program evolves. And this information helps us to ensure that the program is meeting the needs of both our members and our participating suppliers. I do encourage you to use your sales data that you provide in the same type of manner. If you're offering different categories of products within your contract, start monitoring those sales numbers. See where your marketing strategy needs to keep pivoting to keep driving sales where you're decreasing sales over each quarter. I'm hoping this sales data and sort of providing some context around why we asked for this is helpful to you. And if you have any questions about it, we are certainly available for you to ask questions. In fact, we are going to take a brief, quick break for questions. But I did want to share our contact information if you wanted to contact us in the future for questions that you don't have on your mind right now. Well, let's open the floor real quickly, and then I want to pitch over to our guest speakers so you can see another tool for marketing to the COSTARS members. Does anybody have any questions for us?
Hi, Ms. Felicia.
Hi.
This is Lynette Stevenson, founder of DALS Credit Solutions.
Yes.
And I've been a COSTARS member for over a year, and thank you for this program and this platform, because I always get emails about input and sales. But so far within the platform, I haven't had any, so I have been, unsuccessful. I have reached out to so many COSTAR participants based off of my niche. And it's like a lot of the information that was sent on the grid, the emails aren't updated. So a lot of them are sent back. Do you guys have an updated version that you can give to us so we can know who our target, so we can concentrate on our target market?
So a couple of pieces of information on that. Remember how I had mentioned that the suppliers need to go in and update their profile within PA Supplier Portal and the Supplier Gateway? You guys are responsible for your profiles within COSTARS, and the members are responsible for theirs as well. And Jared and I have really, really focused a lot of effort this year into talking to our members in the field, through our newsletter, through email campaigns, and through social media on how important that member profile is. So we're really trying to drive that. And as we're talking to people on the phone as well, we're constantly updating their member profile or showing them how to do that. I do know in some cases there are members who will go in and add the correct information, but what they don't do is take out the outdated information. So you might be seeing some of that kickback be from outdated information, but you are still getting to somebody in the organization. But yes, we are trying to really drive that message home, especially this year, and that will be an ongoing conversation, but that's not our data to maintain. I hope that answer helped. I'm sure it's not 100% what you wanted to hear, but
no, that's fine. I mean, because it's not your responsibility to make sure they update, even though you guys are making an effort as far as outreach.
Yeah. And one of the things that I can say is I've really noticed since the beginning of the pandemic, I've noticed there has been an incredible turnover in many of our member staffing. So that's one of the reasons why Jared and I really targeted the member profile as one of our conversations this year that we have with those members, because some of these new people, as Jared mentioned earlier in the presentation, they're not getting the full COSTARS message from their predecessors. So we want to make sure that we're providing that information for them. So hopefully you'll start to see that get better.
And thank you so much for the feedback. And also, where can we see our profile? That, because I had contract officers reach out to me and stated they didn't know I was COSTAR as far as my IT. Now, I'm not COSTAR as far as my other capabilities, but I had individuals reach out to me and was like, I didn't know you was a COSTARS participant. And I was like,
gotcha.
Yeah.
So are you under the master IT ITQ, or are you under the consulting ITQ?
I'm under both. So the master IT.
Okay.
I'm on COSTAR. The other one I'm not.
When I was talking, when I was talking about, sorry, I just read something in chat and it kind of got me off my thought process. When I was talking about the COSTARS exclusive contracts and the sales or the statewide participating contracts, those two different contracts are held on two different systems. And the reason for that is the statewide contracts are the ones that can be used by agencies, and they don't use COSTARS at all. So they're not looking in the COSTARS system where the COSTARS exclusive contracts are. So the people you're talking to may be some of those that are using those COSTARS exclusive contracts more than statewide, and they're not looking for you in eMarketplace. So that's all you need to do is, especially in your marketing communications to members, point out where your what your contract number is and where it can be located using eMarketplace. That will help.
Yeah, and that's no problem. She told me she looked at eMarketplace and she couldn't find me via COSTARS. So that's why I was asking, like,
do me a favor and send me an email at that GSPA COSTARS at pa.gov that you see on your screen right now. Let me do some investigation on that and make sure that there's not a glitch and that's why you're not showing up. I want to kind of dig into that a little bit.
SEPTA reached out to me and was like, I didn't know you was part of COSTARS.
Yeah.
They wanted me to bid, and we went through this before and they said it was fixed, but I feel as though I'm missing opportunities because the way I'm being displayed. So
gotcha. Okay. Well, let me dig in on that for you and let's see if we can get you some support on that.
I appreciate it.
Sure. Just don't forget to email me or I will forget.
Okay, I'll email.
Okay. So Troy and Mike and Nancy, I do see that you have questions in chat. I would like to pitch this over to Jenna for the moment, and then we'll get back to your questions. The reason being is I know Jenna is traveling and I don't know what her schedule looks like, so I don't want to hold her up too much longer. So let me introduce Jenna here. Jenna Gold is the Director of Partner Engagement and Business Development with Procurated. And this is another resource that our members and suppliers can benefit on their marketing engagement strategies. We're in partnership with the Procurated team. This is a rating and review platform for procurement professionals to gain insight on their procurement community on suppliers, as well as provide feedback for their peers on their own experiences. And Jenna's here to talk to you today as suppliers and how this can be a great tool for you as well as to the members.
Thanks, Felicia. Hi,
You're
everyone.
welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. I know that you've already been sitting through a decent presentation, so I am going to try to keep it as brief as possible, and then I'm going to provide my contact information so you can follow up with me if you have any questions after the fact. So I am going to share my screen. Can you all see this?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so Procurated is the largest supplier rating and review site for public sector. It was actually founded in 2019 by the past Chief Procurement Officer in Pennsylvania. He's still our CEO, and he cares very, very much about the supplier past performance and helping people like members of COSTARS figure out more information about you, your business, and how you've performed for people in the past. So something that was frustrating him in his role is that he was having a hard time figuring out what the past performance of suppliers really was. So he was getting 3 cherry-picked references that really didn't tell him much about suppliers, as well as a lot of the times he was seeing contracts go to large national suppliers when it was something that a local business could do just as easily. So at the same time, he was using sites like Yelp and TripAdvisor and Angie's List and reading reviews on Amazon when he went on. And that was really how the idea for Procurated was born. So again, it is a ratings and reviews platform as well as a search directory for members of the public sector. So here's our audience. We have about 30,000 users from state and local government at the moment. That's constantly growing, K through 12 and higher education, as well as nonprofits and healthcare. Something for you all to note is it's different than Yelp and TripAdvisor in that we actually verify all of our users. So every single user that we allow on the site is manually vetted and approved. They use their work emails in order to sign up. We won't let them in if they do not. So something to think about here is I know all of us can kind of cringe. I worked at Yelp and TripAdvisor in the past. I worked at Yelp for the past 7 years before joining this company. And I know business owners would kind of get a little worried about some reviews because what if people come on and throw all caps on and just really go off on a business? That's really not what we see on our site because they are all verified and because they are representing their agency. So we're seeing most of the reviews are more so, was the job completed on time? Did you do what you said that you were going to do? Was the pricing fair? So that's really the content of the reviews on our site. As I mentioned, we have 30,000 and counting verified public sector buyers. These are qualified purchasers. So just like you don't go to another review site unless you're preparing to make a purchase, people come on our site because they're looking for a supplier. They have a need. They're going to make a purchase. They're trying to decide, okay, COSTARS has, maybe there's 60 options for suppliers. Which one of these on COSTARS is the best for me and my needs? Right now, we just hit about 40,000. We have a little over 40,000 suppliers ratings and reviews and 12,000 supplier pages. I'm going to walk you through how to claim or set up your page. It's absolutely imperative that you do that. After the call, I will log off and go ahead and try to manually approve all of you. So hopefully you get access to it within the next couple of hours. But it is free for you to claim that page. There are marketing options that I will touch on briefly, but again, just imperative that you claim your page if you haven't already. So real quick, the user journey on Procurated is they come on, they see this search bar similar to what you would see on Google or Yelp. They type in whatever they're looking for, and it could be a commodity or service, or it could be Jenna's consulting service, whatever it is they're looking for, they can type it in. They'll be given a list of different businesses based on their location, based on star rating, and based on the information that you provide in your business and your supplier account as well. They can then click on your page and they can read information that you provide, as well as read reviews from other of their peers from across the country. Again, both in state and local governments, higher ed, universities, and healthcare. And then COSTARS members actually have access to a contract dashboard where they have all of the suppliers that are on contract with COSTARS, and they can actually jump in here and see how suppliers have performing for COSTARS members in particular. So just to zoom in on this for a second, this is what the search would look like if we look for something like cleaning supplies. And they can actually filter down by these designations. So if you're a small women-owned business, minority-owned business, etc., they do have the ability to filter down by those. As I'm sure you're aware, many governments and school systems right now are very much looking to work with more of these types of business designations. So this is a tool that the governments have found really, really helpful on Procurated. So it's something that I think we forget sometimes is reviews are really important because it's not you saying that you're the best business out there, right? It's your clients that are becoming your brand advocates. So if you sign on today and you see you don't have any reviews or you only have a few, definitely go out and ask your current customers to come on Procurated and write you a review. That will be really great for you to use as a sales tool. So either you or your sales team can say, don't take our word for it, go see what people are saying about us on Procurated. There are other people just like you who go through similar purchasing processes. All right, so now if in a new tab or at some point you want to go to procurated.com/suppliers, that is where you are going to claim or create your page. And I'm going to walk you through the steps on how to do that. So go to procurated.com/suppliers, either in a new tab or window, and then we can follow along together. So let me get out here. So when you get to Procurated, you're going to want to click for suppliers, or you would have already ended up there if you used this URL. In the middle of the page, there's this big orange button that says claim your page. That's what you're going to click there. And then go ahead and type in the name of your business. If you don't see it right away, make sure you scroll down in this list and then go ahead and click on your business. That's going to lead you here. And you're just going to fill out some basic information, including your business website. Now, something to note about this business website is if it's not exact. So for example, this is this website, I'd want to come here and copy and paste it. Sometimes if you just put like staples.com, for example, it's going to give you an error message when you try to enter your website. So if that's the case, pull up your website in another tab or window, copy the actual full URL, and then place it in the business website section. After you fill out this information, you just go ahead and click I am authorized to claim this business page and click next. You'll get a pop-up message that says that you will be emailed once your registration has been approved. Please, if you can, register with your work email. So, Jenna@staples.com. That's imperative for us to know that you are associated with the business. We know that some businesses don't have their own email domain. So if you don't, shoot me an email. I'm going to give you my email at the end of this with proof of connection to the business. Once you get into your account, and as I mentioned, I will be going through and approving you all right after this webinar. You're going to have 3 sections you want to fill out. It's service areas, commodity codes, and business information. Something that's really important is commodity codes and service areas have to be there in order for you to surface in any search. So please make sure that you do that first and foremost. Our commodity codes are going to be in UNSPSC codes. If you have any issues or any questions as you fill out this page, again, I'm going to provide you with my personal contact details. Please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to jump on a call and walk you through the best way to set up your page, or we can do it via email, whatever works for you. Something else that's really important is under business information, you want to make sure that you have selected COSTARS as one of your contract vehicles. So down here, you'll see that we have some contract vehicles that you can choose from. Pennsylvania COSTARS is right here. Make sure you have that selected, so when COSTARS members are looking on Procurated, they can see that you are on that contract or any of the other contracts you're on. So if you're on any of the national co-ops as well. And then if for some reason you had a hard time finding your commodity codes, make sure that any keywords that you want to be found by are in this business description area. So if you are niche and you really focus on one particular product or service and the commodity codes just didn't seem to do it for you, make sure that the name of that product or service falls somewhere within this company description. I wouldn't recommend listing. That's not really what this is for. This should be more conversational. So as you know, if you were talking to someone and explaining what your business does, this is exactly how you want to word that. But again, just make sure any keywords you want to be found under are appearing in this section as well. Once you fill out all of your information, you'll be redirected to your page. and you'll be able to see your overall rating and breakdown on the side here. And then you'll see if you have reviews, you'll see them down here. We allow our users to decide whether they'd like to share their reviews with suppliers or not. We find that many of the times they do share their reviews with you because they are either giving you a pat on the back for doing a really good job and they've come on here to be your, again, brand advocates, or that maybe it's something that they want you to improve, so they've shared with you. Either way, you'll see how many reviews you have overall and how many are visible. And once you scroll down, you'll be able to see the content of the reviews. I know I went through that pretty quickly, so again, I'm going to provide my contact information, and if you would like to get in touch and have me go over it in more detail, please let me know. So some places that you can market your page and your rating on Procurated is in your email signature. We've seen businesses do this really successfully. Some of them do it on social, as well as just using the page when you're in conversations and trying to sell your services. If you would like to get more reviews yourself, you can, again, I highly recommend connecting with your current and past customers from governments, schools, nonprofits, and healthcare, asking them to go to Procurated. It's free for them to get in as well, and write reviews. You can use that link right there, or I will put another link in the chat once I'm done here. As Jared mentioned earlier, it's important to market where you know COSTARS members are looking. COSTARS is our oldest partnership since the beginning of our company, so we have a really nice group of COSTARS members that have been using the site. If you would like to upgrade your profile, I absolutely recommend it. It's a place where you can add video, you can add customer testimonials, white pages, and then in the search results, you'll actually have an orange border around your listing name. So when you appear in that list of different businesses, yours will pop a bit more. So that's something I recommend. We also have other things that we do. We have about 20,000 subscribers to our newsletter that goes out once a week. And we often partner with suppliers and come up with content with them for that newsletter. You can also do a podcast that we will then turn into an article for you. Some of the times that's, why, for example, we're doing one right now with a supplier about why it's better for governments to rent equipment rather than buy it, and what they can do with that extra budget, put it back towards people or whatever it may be. So that's a nice idea as well. And then there's also a site takeover option right now. Gordian is doing a site takeover with us, and it means that there'd be an ad for you over the page. All right, so here are the takeaways. If you do nothing else and take nothing else from this, this quick presentation of mine today, definitely claim and update your page. There's no harm in doing it. COSTARS members are already using it, so it's important that you have control over it. You can create a page if you didn't see the name of your business pop up when you looked for it. Make sure you create your page. Again, I will manually go in and approve people after this call. If you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to reach out. Here are our emails. We have suppliersupport@procurated.com. That goes straight to me and a couple of other people. If you want to talk about anything, or you just want to get in touch with me and ask more about what we talked about today, my email is just jenna@procurated.com. So Jenna with a G @procurated.com. I am more than happy to talk with you further or help you out with anything. So again, I'm here for support. So thanks for listening, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much, Jenna. I was having a hard time getting myself back on mic. Thank you so much for that information. I hope everyone here found that very helpful as another marketing resource for yourselves and helping to drive business through COSTARS. So let's get back to some of the questions that we got in chat. So Troy, the difficult part of this system is the sales reporting, as there are members who aren't listed in the dropdown when I try to report the sale. So that's a very good question. The first thing that comes to mind when I read that question is, are they really a member? So what I would do is give us a call at COSTARS and we can verify, you know, if they're a member, are they listed in such a way? I know when we're talking about cities, we list them as like Lancaster, city of. So that may be part of why you're not finding certain entities in the list. But also there are some that think they're members and they're not, and we want to rectify that if they're, you know, if they're needing to purchase through COSTARS to, you know, to satisfy the Chapter 19 requirements, then we want to make sure we get them on as a member so that they can certainly use the program efficiently and effectively and within the requirements of the PA procurement code. So if you have any examples of that, Troy, please email me at Jared, can you put our toll-free or our, sorry, not our toll-free number, our email address in the chat, please? I just closed my presentation down, so I didn't have access to it. Send me a message and we'll take a look at some of the examples that you provide and see if we can get you some answers. And then also you can always use your member contact list as well to see maybe how they're listed in there. But that would be my first suggestion. Are members required to renew membership like suppliers are? This may be an opportunity to make sure contact information is updated at least annually. No, once a member is a member, they're always a member. So that's you know, kind of our gotcha on keeping them up to date on their member profile, which is why we're always having that conversation, and more now than ever since we're noticing a large turnover in staff. I hope that helped, Mike, and I wish that was the case, because that would be great if they had to do that, but that is not a requirement for them. Nancy says, for marketing, our statewide contract number and COSTARS contract number are the same. Is that correct? That is not correct. Statewide contract numbers are they 8 numbers? I can't remember. But they're all numbers. When we're talking about COSTARS exclusive, you'll see a hyphen in the middle of the number. So right now, currently our contracts are like COSTARS 1, COSTARS 3, COSTARS 8. So if you held COSTARS 8, your contract number would start with 008 hyphen and then your individual contract number. So that's how you can tell the difference between the two. So if you have a specific question about the statewide contract number, let me know so we can figure out, you know, what your real contract numbers are. And with the electronic bidding system that we rolled out in February, there's now the letter E in our brand new contracts that are either up for renewal right now or new suppliers who have just bid on a contract since February. They'll now have an E in their COSTARS exclusive contract number. I hope that answered those 3 questions. Let's see what else we have. It looks like the procurated questions have already been answered. And then my company, David says, my company has been awarded an ITQ contract for information technology consulting. Does this automatically make us a COSTARS vendor as well as to provide contract or products? So you ask a double-sided question there. No, you are not automatically a COSTARS vendor on a statewide contract unless you've signed the election to participate form. That form acknowledges that you will offer the same pricing and terms and conditions on your statewide contract to COSTARS exclusive or to COSTARS members. And then once you sign that form, you will receive the annual administrative fee invoice for participation in COSTARS. Once you pay that fee on eMarketplace, you would be designated under the COSTARS column as no, until that fee is paid, and then it will be an indication of yes there. That column, our members need to look at that when they're purchasing from eMarketplace. If the supplier is listed as no for COSTARS, it is now not a COSTARS purchase that they're making from that contract. So they would have to go through public bidding if the threshold is of the number that would make them go out for public bidding. So you'll need to elect into the program and finalize that whole piece to be participating within that statewide contract. And then there was a second piece. Oh, you said as well as to provide products. So the ITQ for information technology consulting, that is services only. So you would need to direct them to our product contracts to secure the products. They can still do that all through COSTARS. There's COSTARS 3, which is our computer hardware, I believe is the name of it, or hardware, it might just be that. And then there's also some hardware available on statewide contracts as well. So they can do the whole purchase through COSTARS. It would just be separate POs, and the services would be your part of that, that piece on your statewide contract. And then can you briefly discuss the differences or overlap between the ITQ master contract and the consulting contract? So I believe there is IT consulting on that master ITQ. So that would all be that one contract. However, we do have a separate ITQ for consulting services, and there are many different categories under that separate consulting. But if you do IT consulting, I would keep that under that master ITQ. I don't believe the consulting ITQ has IT consulting under it. It's separate. There might be medical consulting, financial consulting. There's a whole slew of different categories under there, but I don't believe the IT falls under that, since that falls under a separate contract. Does that make sense, George?
Taking the time to answer that question. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me see where I left off. Okay. It looks like Mike says, I've been a COSTARS 36 suppliers for a few years. Is there a statewide contract I should be looking into to improve our visibility? Jared, I'll take the next question if you can look up 36, because off the top of my head, I don't remember what that contract is. And then we can see if there's a parallel contract on the statewide side for Mike.
Okay.
It's food
Thank
service
you.
equipment and supplies.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Food service equipment and supplies.
Food service. I believe there is foods under statewide, or it might not be supplies. It might just be foods. Hold on one second. Let me look. And this is where that guide to COSTARS contracts comes in really handy, and that can be found in the supplier toolbox. This will list all of the statewide contracts that are available to our members. So let's see, we've got it looks like, I think we do have a statewide contract for foods, but I don't believe it's COSTARS enabled, which would be one of the reasons why we started the foods and then the appliances and supplies separated contracts. It doesn't look like we have. I sure can share my screen. Excuse me. Can you see that now?
Yes.
Cool. All right, so yeah, I'm not seeing that. I'm looking to see if maybe there's something else, like it's listed as something else. Nope, I don't see that. So I think for you, you're good on COSTARS 36.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Suzanne asks, are suppliers able to see purchases within their contract and/or other contracts? For example, to be able to see how many purchases have been made within their contract by whom and awarded to whom. So yes, Suzanne, suppliers are able to see their own only if at some point you have reported those sales to us to be compliant with your participation in the program. You can actually call up sales journals from previous years on your supplier dashboard, going through the PA supplier portal and then into the COSTARS supplier gateway. That'll be on your dashboard, and you can search previous sales reports there, but you would have to actually report them at the time of that quarter in order to gain access to it. When we're talking about other suppliers reporting, you don't have access to that from the supplier gateway, but we do have some suppliers who want to do sort of an audit of how they're comparing with others on their contract. And feel free to call us and ask us. What we can do is we can download the report and send it to you for you to manipulate as you need. We don't do a lot of manipulation for you, but we can certainly generate that information per that master contract number. Just let us know what your contract is, and then we can figure out which parent contract we need to pull for, and let us know what the date ranges are that you're trying to see sales figures for, and we can share that with you. Jason asks if there's a way for suppliers to see who else is on the statewide sales contract. You can do that by searching under eMarketplace, and then if you already hold a statewide contract, you should be able to see on your contract overview what the parent contract number is. You have an individual contract number under that parent. Look up, then search by contract number with that parent name, and then you should be able to see all the suppliers listed. Actually, it should be on the overview too. Hold on one second. I'm going to go into eMarketplace here and show you. All right, so passenger vehicles contract. I knew the name of the contract I was looking up, so I looked up keywords and found the passenger vehicles contract. So if you looked at the overview, and this is all the same parent contract number here on the right-hand column. If you look at the overview, you'll see a supplier list in there once this opens, if it will open. Supplier information. So now you can see all of the suppliers that are available on that contract, but remember how we talked about this COSTARS column. Oops, I can't highlight just the column. You need to refer back to the main list to see who is participating in COSTARS and who is not. Because our members can only use the ones that say, that is weird. I know we have passenger vehicles on COSTARS. Whoops. Why am I not seeing any yeses? I guess maybe some people haven't renewed on that contract since they had been on originally. Interesting. Does that help with that question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Will there be an information session on how to make changes and updates to electronic contracts? We've been struggling making changes and updates since we've been awarded our first electronic contract, which is COSTARS 40. Ken, that's a really good question. I have not thought about that previously, but I certainly am going to make a note because I don't think that that's a bad idea. Let me make a note here. Okay. Yeah, we will send out information on that. My guess is that won't happen until next year's series. because I think we're all booked up for the rest of the year, but I think that is a fantastic idea for a session. And if any of you ever have any ideas of types of information that you think you need clarifying on or you're missing overall, please let us know, because it's your feedback and our members' feedback that helps us determine what kind of educational sessions we need to create. So thank you for that. And tech. This question might be for Jenna. Jenna, are you still on? She might have had to have bounced because I know she's traveling. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the person's name from NTech, but let me find out for you. I'll find out from Jenna and have her. Can you send me your email address and your name so that I can have Jenna contact you? I'm making a note here. Thank you, Steve. It looks like we've come to the end of our the questions in chat. I love that you guys have been so engaging with us today. Is there anything that's hanging out there that maybe I missed in the chat area, or that you haven't asked yet but think you should before we close this session down? I don't want to miss any hot topics. I'm not hearing anything. So Jared and I will hang out here for another 2 minutes, just give you some time to think. And if you don't have any other questions, feel free to drop off the call whenever you want. And I thank you all for participating with us today. And I hope this was very helpful for you.
You know what? I have a question for you. This is Jason with Legacy Medical Sales.
Yeah.
Is there a time of year, and we're new to COSTARS, so is there a time of year where your members have budget resets? Like I believe school districts are in around the July timeframe. Is that pretty typical for state entities across the board, or is there different times a year that we would see opportunities come out with new budgets?
That is a really, really good question, and I apologize. I don't have a ton of insight on that. Okay. From my previous career, I know when we're talking about college bookstores and things like that, like colleges, that's usually around the May timeframe that they do a lot of their purchasing. And you're right about the school districts themselves. When we're talking about the other member entities, because they're so varied, like, you know, we've got healthcare and nonprofits, I think it's probably more of an open cycle. And I see sales happening all the time when we're talking about municipalities, because they have to go through the whole process of, you know, they have their budgets in place for what they want to do, but then they've got to go through the approval at the time of the spend, you know, in their I don't know if it's monthly sessions or whatever. And I think it also has to do with what funding streams may be available at certain times as well. So that's why, you know, I wanted to point out that other related organizations section, so you could kind of monitor some grant funding opportunities and kind of align your promotion with the deadlines of those grant opportunities.
Okay, thank you for that information.
Hello, this is George Jones with Intrinsic. I just want to ask a general question relative to the pandemic, and relative to if you guys have seen or can share what you've seen as challenges from the pandemic relative to your suppliers, members in this COSTARS doing business.
Yeah, we have experienced some challenges. One of those challenges being vehicles. Not only the being able to secure them because they're not making them as quickly as they had been in the past. Because of all the pieces and parts, they've got to try to secure those materials to make said vehicles. But also just, you know, staffing and all of that at this time. So early on, there was an issue with some of those vehicles. Members were placing POs or getting quotes at a certain price, and then the manufacturers were canceling it's not even the suppliers, it was the manufacturers who were canceling that PO, saying they cannot sell it at that price. So the supplier was kind of out of luck. They had no say in this matter. So we are addressing that. We're not allowing suppliers to add surcharges based on, you know, different supply challenges and price hikes on their ends as well. So there is an ongoing conversation about that, and we'll see, you know, what happens as we're moving forward. But we're also seeing price increases as well. Like as we're getting, you know, as we renew contracts, pricing is changing. We're going to see that this doesn't affect you, but one of the most heavily used contracts by our members is our sodium chloride road salt contract. And I'm confident that we will see pricing increases per ton for next year's salt contract. So yeah, we are definitely affected by the pandemic and the aftershocks of it.
And can you have the lady who did the presentation share the information she was going to share in chat? I don't know if she did that yet, but thank you. That was a great presentation.
The Procurated, Jenna?
Yeah, yes, she was going to put some information in chat.
I think she had to jump off because she's traveling and probably had a meeting, but I'll make sure in the follow-up information that we send you with the link to this recording, I'll make sure that we have that information in that email. Does that sound good?
Yes, thank you so much.
She did post her email and the website. I'll go ahead and repost it if that's what you're talking about.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jared. But we still will include that as well. NTech asked if there's anyone who can help pinpoint the correct contract numbers. They're new to COSTARS. Steve, yes, in fact, let me show you here where to find that guide to COSTARS contracts. This will help immensely. So if we go to DGS and then COSTARS, can you all see this?
Yep.
Okay. And then we're going to go to supplier information once we're on the COSTARS page. And we're going to go straight to the supplier toolbox, which we can get to down here. And then in the supplier toolbox, you'll see the guide, the COSTARS contracts guide right here in the center. And that will open up that document that I was just referring to. So this will help the whole first section where you see the blue and the gray boxes. These are all the COSTARS exclusive contracts, and it lists out all of the product categories and services that fall within the scope of those contracts. And then as you scroll through the document, these are the statewide COSTARS participating contracts that are available. Some of these, however, you can participate in COSTARS through these statewide contracts, but they are formal bidding opportunities. In those cases, they might not be open for bid right now, but just keep your eye on the end date if they apply to what you're offering. If it's an ITQ, I believe at least 98% of the time those are evergreen and you can hop into them at any time. So they will say typically an ITQ after like consulting services ITQ right here. And when we're talking about ITQs, if you go back to the DGS page, up here at the top, look under businesses, materials and services procurement. And then scroll down to where you see the ITQs, and we're going to click on invitation to qualify. This will list all of the ITQs that are available. And if you expand that information, you'll see the statement of work, the terms and conditions for each of those ITQs. And then That's not a good one. Let me do this one. Oh, no, it is a good one. You'll also see the contact information for the commodity specialist in charge of the contract. So if you have specific questions about the contract, you can call the commodity specialist or email them with your questions. And then you'll see at the top of this ITQ documents and information, you'll see the application guide on how to do how to apply or qualify under an ITQ. Does that help? I think that was Steve that asked that.
Yes, that was helpful.
Good. Yes, and Mike, I see that you were telling Steve about your contract number, and yes, you did that through the e-bidding, so that E22 is new to the process. And then I'm looking. Yes, my email. My email is now in the chat. Somebody had asked for it, so if you need it, it is right there. And it looks like we don't have any other questions. Unless I've missed anything, please shout it out if there's something that you had asked and I didn't see it. Well, it looks like we're past the 11:30 mark, so I think we're going to bring this to a close. But again, our contact information is available here in the chat. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions after today. And look for our email that's coming hopefully by the end of this week, but if not, it'll be the beginning of next. Thank you again for participating today. Thank you for your time, George.